welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Show. Today I want to let you guys know about something really exciting that's happening in Chicago right now. They are selling land on the south side for only $1, which means this is a great opportunity to, take advantage and become a landowner, become a stakeholder on the south side and implement some healthy spaces, some healthy wellness spaces that can actually educate and help people avoid issues like obesity, asthma, and all of the things that we talk about on the show, basically. If you read this episode description, there are some land use suggestions that was provided on the website, and the site is in the description to this video as well, where you can research how you can apply to become a landowner and get this piece of land for $1. There's lots of it, and some of the ideas that I love are the community gardens, greenhouses, doing some sustainable businesses there. It's zoned for residential, right? So you have to kind of check, research and talk to the city, talk to the people that you need to talk to. All the information's on the website. But in terms of the possibility for community agriculture, I have a friend of mine who's also a trained health coach who did this. I believe it was in Texas that she did it, but she started a community garden and she educated the kids on, how to grow food, and they really enjoyed it. And the great thing about it is, like, you grow the food and you can sell the food. People can get shares and grow their own food. And learn about how to grow food and just get more connected to nature and all of the benefits that entails, right? Because there's a stress relieving aspect to it, and we're getting more connection to the foods that we consume so we can consume mindfully. All of these things are important. Plus, when you think about low income and middle income families and Black families, growing that wealth, having a piece of land that you can pass down from generation to generation and actually get invested into what it means to be a landowner and grow produce, and how you can take it, because there's a rise in Black farmers right now. Less than 1% of our country's population is farmers, and less than 2% of that 1% is Black farmers, but that number is increasing. So I'm very hopeful and excited about that, because I think that this is one of the areas of our life, like Americans' lives, that we really don't think about. I just find it so fascinating that we could have millions and millions of people eating around 3 meals a day on average, and less than 2% of the population is producing that food. That seems like a huge stress factor. And when we're talking about having access to healthy foods and produce in minority and low income neighborhoods, this, it gets very complicated, but this is part of the reason. There's a lot of discrimination practices that kind of hindered Black farmers, that kind of mess with their numbers. They stopped trusting the USDA, things like that. It gets really complicated. But I did put a link where you can actually read more about that. I'm using my phone today and not the tripod, which is a mistake because it's getting tiring. But yeah, anyway, I want you guys to read it, and if you're in Chicago, take advantage. I'm really excited about it. I love what people are doing in Chicago when it comes to aquaponics, I think it's called, or hydroponics, where you're able to grow things using water, but then you have to add minerals. And that's because, living in a city environment, you don't really have the space, but now this space is available for $1. And yes, you have to put some money into the space. You have to put a fence around it, which costs about $30,000. And then, of course, to actually set up the land, it's going to take some labor, some time, but this is a great entry point. I mean, when my husband and I started the juice bar, it was thousands and thousands of dollars. We didn't get anything, any assets for free or for this cheap. And this is an actual asset you can pass down. It can be a tax credit write-off. I mean, of course, talk to your lawyer or whatever to get actual legal advice and all of that, and financial advice. Talk to your accountant. And because they're selling it for $1 right now, it probably won't be worth much. I'm not really sure. Definitely talk to the right parties, but eventually I see that changing, especially with what is being encouraged for people to put there. So I'm really excited about it. Check it out. Get in there. I believe the application process for that ends July. But yeah, buy land for $1 and put a community garden on it, or a greenhouse on there, and grow organic produce and share it with the community and teach them how to grow the produce. I just think it's an amazing, amazing thing. So we can kind of chip away at some of these issues around access and wealth, within our community, wealth building, some of the disconnects. And I like what they talked about, how the impact it will have on the community in terms of decreasing violence and kids that eat fruits and vegetables and farm, they're actually more intelligent. They get really into it, and it really helps them academically. So yeah, this is breaking news. It's breaking exciting news for Chicago. I'm super excited to let you guys know about it. So definitely read the description, take advantage. And you know what? Comment in the notes below and let me know if you plan on going for it and getting this piece of land and what you plan to do with it. And if you're not in Chicago, if you did have this opportunity, because my eyes are always open on how we can support this movement, support the rise and increase of Black farmers, support small organic farmers, and just support what we all need basically to be healthy. I mean, it's just such a basic thing. It's really sad, some of the things that are going on that's kind of hindering this, and how we have just a few kind of dictating things, and how different our environment, our food environment would be if we had more minorities and more organic farmers in the whole food agricultural game, who would be at the table, have a seat at the table, when presidents are coming in and they're looking at the obesity crisis, our health crisis, and which communities are being affected. I mean, all of this, we just need to be involved to see the change, right? We need to have our voices heard. We need to have a seat at the table, and being a stakeholder and having that piece of land is definitely a huge step. So I commend Chicago for this, and I really encourage you all who can to take advantage of it. And like I said, leave a comment below. Let me know if you're in Chicago, if you're gonna go for it. And if you're not in Chicago, if you did have this opportunity, what would you put on that piece of land? I know I had my own ideas, because so many benefits to this, right? To own land in the city of Chicago, a big urban city. I mean, that's amazing for $1, that's just super exciting. But if I was still in Chicago, if I was still there, Ertiling Cafe would still be operating, and I definitely would have either a greenhouse or a community garden to hold workshops and bring together people who garden and do grow microgreens and things like that, to do workshops, because I definitely wanted to learn more about that, how to actually grow food And so, like, how we can be more sustainable in that aspect, in our homes, and composting and how that would work, because I was really into that for a while, and buying family members those little composting bins and things like that. But I would definitely do something like that and make it educational and accessible for the community, and definitely be having my show there and doing lots of videos there. I also loved the suggestion on having playgrounds for the kids, because the obesity crisis is not just adults, it's affecting the kids also. And yes, they need to eat healthier. That is an aspect of it, which we need to work on at the school level, and some issues that are going on with procurement when it comes to these school districts. But encouraging play, like with all the stress and everything going on, like we've really lost play in an attempt to become more competitive, educationally, economically, in this global space that we're in now, right? Which I completely understand and I get, but we cannot forget harmony. I don't want to say balance, because really harmony is the right word. Like, you can be actually being physically active helps you to become more intelligent, because it's very helpful for the brain. So why that was lost on some people, I'm not really sure. Maybe because they didn't read the science or the research that's there to support that. But you don't have to throw away these aspects that are fun, like creativity and physical activity, in an attempt or an effort to get kids to have higher test scores. Actually, creativity and fun helps the brain work better, so they'll be able to get higher test scores, get into higher education, and be the change makers we want them to be. Because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of issues that we have in the world. There's a lot of issues in this country with, the rise of urbanization. There's, a lot of housing insecurity, food insecurity that's happening here in America. There are people in America who don't have internet access, which is crazy. In a first world country, that people don't have internet access, it's ridiculous. So there's all these issues, plus there's the silver tsunami, or that they're calling it, I believe, where we're moving towards a stage where we're gonna be greatly outnumbered with the amount of elderly. Oh, wow. I'm outside in the elements. The amount of elderly compared to younger folk who are in the workforce, right? So I can't remember the numbers, but basically we have to not only do as good as our parents and grandparents did, we have to do way better in order to just keep the economy afloat, basically. So there's all these things, right? So how do we tackle all these big challenges that the country and the world is facing? We have to invest in our youth, and how we do that is not by taking away their playtime and their creativity. That is going in the opposite direction. So I really, applaud them for recommending that as well. So I just want to add that Chicago is really smart for doing this, because it's really good for economic development. Being a farmer, so this is like, I see community gardens as an opportunity for the community to come together, for everyone to learn how to grow food and things of that nature. But also, when you think about what that education does later, what the opportunities are later, like in terms of opening your own farm and getting that off the ground, being a farmer puts you in the position to have what they consider a living wage job, which for any city, any area, this is important. So the salary for a farmer ranges from, like, the average salary from $40,000 to $70,000 per year, Plus, I assume that they also save money on food since they're growing it. And then you don't have the stress of the city. I just think that this is great, a great economic development strategy and a great investment in being progressive for sustainable, having sustainable industries and a sustainable city, and encouraging organic produce production, and also encouraging healthier communities, because healthier communities actually alleviate the strain that we're having on the healthcare system. I mean, everything is connected to the food, in my opinion, to be honest. I think when you take it back to the farmers, they're at the core, and how we can support them will support everything else we're trying to accomplish, in my opinion. It will also, I feel, alleviate some of the housing insecurities that we have, because if everyone's not flocking to urban areas and they have opportunities in these rural areas where they can earn living wages and be healthy and be supported, have some independence and security, financial security, then everyone benefits. The environment, because you're having with more green space, you have it helps with the climate change issues, right? More green space means cleaner air, less entrapment of carbon emissions, all this stuff, right? People who are really into it, you can comment below, because I'm not as articulate on that. But from what I understand from my LEED certification, basically you want more green space for a healthier, clean air, and mitigate some of the issues we're having with global warming and all of this. So there's so many benefits to this. I just want to applaud Chicago for this, what they're doing. So check it out, and I hope you guys have a blessed week. And hopefully next week we might dig into some more recipes. Take care.